So let me start with an interesting observation, and that is that through that entire 2+ hour keynote and all over the iOS 17 page on Apple's website, every single iPhone model they show has the dynamic island. You won't find a regular 14 or 14 Plus there with the regular old notch, which is probably on purpose. Not only is the dynamic island newer, it's fresher, it's the new thing Apple is trying to really show off, and it looks a lot better sort of in photos and videos, but also it might so subtly or not so subtly confirm the big rumor, and that is that the notch is officially going away, that every single 15 model, including the non-Pro models, the 15 and 15 Plus, will have the dynamic island this year, which means the notch is officially dead. And maybe it's just one big coincidence that Apple did this, but I don't think so. I think obviously the dynamic island is something Apple's pushing as their latest thing. It's sort of the evolution of the notch, and I don't think anyone's really gonna miss the notch. It's not gonna be a sad departure when that thing finally goes later this September, but instead, Apple's gonna embrace the dynamic island, and we're gonna see it on every single model. We've also heard some rumors that iOS 17 is going to dramatically enhance the usability of the dynamic island. It's gonna fix some of the bugs that we saw with the current iPhones we've got in iOS 16. I'm not sure if this is true or not, since I haven't installed the beta on my phone, because I'm not going to risk that on my main phone, but we probably will see that in later betas later on the summer and especially the fall. As Apple goes all in on the dynamic island, I'd expect some improvements and enhancements to come to it, both in hardware and software, with the new phones later this year, and also iOS 17 making some improvements too. Another hint that Apple might be dropping with the iPhone 15 Pro series specifically is coming straight from the Apple Vision Pro headset. It still sort of feels weird to say this. I can't believe the headset's actually here, but it is real. And during the demo portion of this headset, there was this sort of odd example of taking spatial or 3D photos and videos here on the headset. As odd as this looks, it does actually open up the door of opportunity for two potentially cool and interesting features for the next evolution of the iPhone. For example, there is a specific button on the Apple Vision Pro headset just for taking the spatial photos and videos without you having to fumble around and find different things. A dedicated button for the camera, which might align with the current rumors of the iPhone 15 Pro series, and that is that Apple is going to ditch the volume mute switch that's been on the iPhone since the very beginning with that OG model in favor of a mute button, which may be programmable and do different things. And maybe a dedicated photo and video button on the headset shows what Apple could do with the iPhone as well, giving us that dedicated button for launching the camera. So maybe you could program it to sort of long press and then mute your phone and unmute, sort of like you do with that switch, but maybe a single tap would actually let you go right into the camera, so you can immediately start taking photos and videos. Apple does sort of have that sort of unlock method on the home screen where you can go right to the camera. There's also like a back tap that you can configure as well, but I think many people would love one simple, one dedicated button that you could press and instantly start taking photos and videos, and maybe the headset shows that is coming to the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. There's also the idea that maybe the 15 Pro series would be able to take the spatial photos and videos. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't understand all the cameras and sensors and all the different things this headset has, but I do know that for the last couple of years, both the iPad Pro series and the iPhone have had the LiDAR sensor built in that, in my opinion, has been super underutilized.